You keep your calendar suffocated with tasks, not because you are ambitious, but because you are terrified of the silence that waits for you at 2 a.m. You treat busyness like an anesthetic, a necessary numbing agent to keep the jagged edges of your own thoughts from piercing through the thin veneer of your daily persona. We tell ourselves that we are productive, that we are building legacies or simply surviving the crushing weight of modern expectations, but that is a convenient fiction. The truth is much colder. You are running from the person who stares back at you when the screen goes dark. When the world finally hushes, when the notification chimes fade into the void, you are left with nothing but the echo of your own existence. This is not about work, it is about the paralyzing fear of being alone with your consciousness. You dread the stillness because in that stillness, the mask slips. You feel the weight of every choice you regretted, every dream you sacrificed for stability, and every silent cry you swallowed to keep the peace. You are not busy, you are hiding. You have cultivated a life of constant motion to ensure you never have to stand still long enough to recognize that you are a stranger to yourself. The day is a choreographed performance. You move with a mechanical precision that earns the approval of peers and the exhaustion of your own spirit. You check your emails while eating, answer calls while walking, and fill every interstitial space of your life with content, noise, and simulated urgency. It feels safe. It feels like control. But underneath the professional exterior, there is a frantic, breathless pace that never truly stops. You are building a tower of accomplishments to block out the view of your own emptiness. Consider the sensation of lying in bed, the lights extinguished, the room plunged into a suffocating, velvet black. The phone rests on the nightstand, yet your mind is still sprinting. It dissects the day, replaying every minor social error, every failed interaction, every moment of perceived inadequacy. The silence is loud. It hums with the frequency of everything you have refused to process. You try to conjure new tasks, planning the next day's labor with a desperate fervor, treating future anxiety as a remedy for present haunting. You are addicted to the adrenaline of being needed, the temporary high of ticking items off a list, because it is the only thing that distracts you from the profound lack of meaning you feel when you are stripped of your labels. You look at people around you and wonder if they are acting, too. Perhaps everyone is just a ghost in a machine, masquerading as a functional adult while secretly terrified that if they stopped for a single hour, they would dissolve into nothingness. You have built an identity around your utility, around your capacity to endure and produce. To stop is to lose your tether to reality. You fear that if you sat in the dark and truly asked yourself what you wanted, you would hear only the hollow rattle of a shell. So, you push harder. You seek out extra projects, you volunteer for responsibilities that drain your last reserves of energy, and you sacrifice your sleep to ensure your mind never gets a chance to wander into those dangerous, quiet territories. It is a slow, quiet decay. You are losing your capacity for joy because you have traded your ability to feel for the ability to function. You have forgotten what it is like to sit with a cup of tea and watch the rain without reaching for your phone to document it or distract yourself from it. The tragedy is that you think this busyness is your armor, when in reality, it is the cage. You are the architect of your own claustrophobia, carefully constructing walls of chores and obligations to avoid the one thing that could actually save you, the honesty of your own vulnerability. You are tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. You are worn thin by the performance, by the constant need to justify your existence through labor. Every time you push yourself to the brink of collapse, you feel a twisted sense of accomplishment, as if physical exhaustion is a measurement of your worth. But the reflection in the mirror remains unapproached, unloved, and misunderstood. It is a strange loneliness, being surrounded by a life you have built but do not recognize. You are the conductor of a symphony of chaos, yet you cannot hear a single note of melody. You have perfected the art of avoidance, turning the mundane into a weapon against your own introspection. You fear that if you actually stopped, if you let the silence settle into your bones, the dam would break. You are terrified of the grief that has been waiting patiently behind your productivity, the sadness that has been accumulating in the corners of your mind like dust. You think that if you acknowledge it, it will swallow you whole. So, you keep running. You run toward the next meeting, the next deadline, the next distraction, never realizing that the person you are running from is the only one who can truly offer you comfort. The irony is bitter. In your pursuit of a life that looks complete, you have hollowed out the interior. You are a vessel filled with noise, a map of nowhere. You have mistaken the feeling of being overwhelmed for the feeling of being alive. But when the night finally takes hold and the world recedes, you find yourself at the edge of that familiar, dark precipice, where the busyness fades into the background and the truth stands cold and undeniable. You finally realize that the constant movement was never about getting somewhere, it was simply about ensuring you never arrived. You have spent your entire life in transit, fearing the destination because you know that once you reach it, you will have to unpack all the baggage you have been dragging behind you. You are exhausted by the chase, by the effort of keeping the mask glued to your skin. The realization hits you not like a lightning bolt, but like a rising tide. You have been avoiding yourself because you are afraid that there is nothing left to find. You fear that if you stripped away the titles, the tasks, the endless, grinding labor, you would be faced with a blank space. But even in that terrifying vacancy, there is a strange, quiet dignity. You are not a machine. You are not your output. You are a human being who has been holding your breath for years, waiting for a permission to exhale that you have been denying yourself. There is no triumph here, only the heavy, aching acknowledgement that you are finally tired enough to stop running. The silence is no longer an enemy, it is merely a mirror. You are there. You have been there all along, waiting in the dark for the busyness to cease so that you could finally see your own ghost. The more you do, the less you become. The busier the life, the lonelier the soul.